Greetings, Patreon supporters and channel members. Hope you all are doing well. For those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, I hope you're enjoying a well-deserved summer vacation. And for those of you in the middle of winter, well, hang in there. Today, we're just going to do a brief channel status and update video just to talk about what's been going on and what's happening in the future. So thanks for tuning in, and let me just jump right into it. So first of all, summer is in full swing here, and that means a lot of things are happening. And first of all, you've probably seen with the latest video that I was in Japan for a month, actually Taiwan first and then Japan. And it wasn't really just for retro. In fact, that was a very small part of it. I was there for the culture, sightseeing, eating my way across both islands, doing some hiking, staying in traditional inns, doing all sorts of interesting stuff. If you haven't been to either of those places and you get the opportunity, I highly, highly recommend both or either of them. Awesome places and just great to visit. Next up, a few weeks ago, there was the VCF swap meet in New Jersey, and that one was a scorcher, absolutely brutally hot. Couple that with the fact that it was the first week of summer vacation for a lot of people, and I think people just didn't attend as well as they did in the fall. It was still a great event, and there was still a lot to see, and I was able to sell a bunch of stuff, but it wasn't as highly attended as the one that happened in the fall. So it'll be on again later on this season, so hopefully the next one will be bigger. I did get to hang out with Kevin and Jason from the Patreon group, so good to see you guys there. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you had fun. And next up, we have a local retro meet here in the Washington, D.C. area, something that we haven't had a lot of. In fact, there haven't been any retro gatherings that I'm aware of for the years that I've been into this hobby, which is funny because there are, 10 million or so people in the greater Washington area, and a lot of us work in IT, so you would think it would be a natural fit. But this is the first one that I know about, and this was the inaugural event. Turned out really good. We had maybe 30 to 40 people show up and bring some computers to demonstrate, and I think for a first event, this was really, really good. So I'm hoping that it continues and it grows and turns into something really interesting. So that was really cool. And other than that, yeah, I'm starting up some consulting work. For those of you who are aware, I've been working in Unix and Linux administration, DevOps, and operations for, most of my career. I spent the last 13 years of my career at Akamai doing content delivery network stuff. And so now I'm just getting back into doing some private consulting work. So that will occupy some of my time going forward, but it won't really affect the channel more than anything else that's been going on. Got a trip to New England coming up. Going to spend a week up there visiting friends and family. My mom's birthday is happening, so I'll be up in Maine for a little bit and visiting Boston. So there won't be any retro updates. I'm missing the MIT swap meet by like a day while I'm there, which is a bummer, but it is what it is. So no retro on that trip, but when I come back, we'll dive right into some other stuff. I am working on another NEC Multisync 3D that I just recently picked up for cheap on eBay. Also dead. Has more leaky caps just like the first one. I'm not making a video about it simply because we already covered that topic and it's, redundant. I don't feel like I need to say anything more about the NEC, but whenever a dead monitor comes along that needs to be repaired and I have the ability to fix it, I'm going to try because these things absolutely deserve to be saved. Other than that, I hope to do some more live streams soon. I have a lot more of those Commodore 64s in that bin to repair, but I do also want to mix it up with other subjects. So I'm always on the lookout for a good topic. So feel free to make a suggestion if you have any good ideas for live streams. So with that, let's talk about what's coming up. And this is really the important part of this video. In the 100th episode live stream, I touched on the fact that channel views were way down for the last 6 to 8 months. Well, the trend has really continued. So check out this graph. This shows the last 2 years, and we can clearly see how the channel growth hasn't just plateaued, but it's actually basically gone to a year-long period of negative growth. It's almost as if YouTube flipped off a switch. Just as an example, check this out. Over the first few years, I made 3 X68000 videos here, and all of them broke 40,000 views pretty handily right off the bat. But the most recent 2 that I've made have struggled to hit even 4,000 views. That's a 90% drop in traffic for content I absolutely know that there's an audience for. So I'm really not sure what's happening. Possibly changes to the algorithm, and there's a reduced interest in retro after the pandemic lockdowns ended, maybe, but certainly not 90% lower all of a sudden. And I also don't feel like it's an issue with the subject matter or quality of the videos. At least no one has made any comments to that effect. So I'm a little baffled, and it's also been a bit demoralizing. It'd be one thing to see growth slow down and hit a plateau, but it's another to see the channel just cut off at the knees for no obvious reason. As a result, and you may have noticed this already, I've started releasing videos at longer intervals, 3, even 4 weeks instead of the usual 2. So this is going to undoubtedly create a negative feedback loop that will hurt view count even more. But for the time being, I'm done chasing the algorithm and worrying about growth. The channel was supposed to be all about having fun with retro, and worrying about that sort of stuff just takes the fun out of it, and I'm just not going to worry about that anymore. The reason I'm even bringing this up in the first place is that it's really not fair to you guys, my biggest fans and supporters. So I want your honest opinion. Should I leave things as they are? And each of you can decide whether it's worth it to stay on as a supporter or switch to a lower tier, or should I close Patreon and channel memberships altogether? Coincident with the lack of channel growth is that I've been losing patrons faster than gaining new ones, so the writing is kind of already on the wall, but I want you guys to be getting the value you deserve from your support, so please let me know what you think. And whether you choose to stay or go, just know that I really do appreciate your support, both past and present, and will always value everything you guys have done for me in the channel up to this point. All that being said, I still want to make retro YouTube content, and I'm still passionate about the hobby. Slowing down the release velocity is a way to help me keep it stress-free and enjoyable, like I talked about, and that is the whole point after all. So, on that note, I've been working on a bunch of retro projects off camera recently, just for fun, which is something I really haven't done since starting the channel. Recently, I fully refurbished a Macintosh LC475, a Sega Genesis, an Atari 2600 4-switch, and I'm working on this Multisync 3D right now. Stuff that's either redundant or isn't interesting enough to warrant a video on its own, but stuff that is fun to do and keeps me entertained in the interim when I don't have the camera turned on. Moving forward into the future, VCF Midwest is coming up, and that's going to be in September, and I am making plans to go. So they have a new, bigger venue, and I'm excited to see what that's going to be like. And if the opportunity presents itself, I might even register to have a table to showcase some of my past projects. So who knows? But if you're able to make it, be sure and let me know. All right, well, that's all I have for today. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on anything I mentioned today or things you'd like to see me work on next for the channel. Thank you so much for your continued support, and I'll see you next time.